Waiting for it to update. Here we go. Hi there and welcome in. Thank you for coming to TMC Connect. We'll get started in just a minute. Hello and welcome to TMC Connect. My name is Tony Bramley and I'm the Director of Business Development here at the Mortgage Collaborative. Today we have Brian View and Chris Hazen with us from FinLocker. Hey guys, how are y'all?
Doing great.
Well,
Thanks for having us, Tony.
Excellent. We're excited that you guys are here, and they're going to be talking about start building next year's business today. This is on the top of everybody's mind right now, prepping for that 2024 season and how to make things happen. So thank you guys for bringing this conversation to the Mortgage Collaborative. Just a little bit for you guys in the audience, you are on mute, but you can raise your hand and ask a question, or you can put it in the chat or the Q&A, and we will answer those as we go along. And then there'll be a follow-up email that comes out tomorrow. It'll have a link to the video as well as information about the webinar. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks again for having us. And it's good to see everybody's names. I don't see any faces, but that's okay. So I'm Brian View, President, Chief Operating Officer of FinLocker. Joining me today is Chris Hazen. Chris is our Senior Vice President, and Chris oversees all of our account implementation and then ongoing account management. He and I are going to tag team on this talk today. And the title of the session is really what we'll kind of hit on, but we're going to hit on it by actually showing you an interactive, demo, if you will, of the FinLocker experience. But I'll start by, I guess, level setting that our belief is that in order to win in this market going forward, loan officers have to transition from being a transactional loan officer and becoming a relationship-oriented mortgage advisor. And why we think that way is what we're seeing today in the market. The duration of home buyers, especially first-time home buyers that are in this this preparation mode, has been extended several months, sometimes even past a year, for a bunch of reasons. The two primary reasons I would say are interest rates. So interest rates have put more pressure on an individual's budget and what they can afford, and probably the equal, if not more, impactful item is inventory. And so lack of inventory continues to put pressure upward on home prices, which then leads to affordability challenges for home buyers, especially first-time home buyers. And so inevitably, we have this current pipeline of prospective first-time home buyers who, in a normal market, whatever a normal market means, we could all argue what normal is, but in a normal market, those first-time home buyers would kind of start their journey, get themselves to a place of readiness, get their pre-approval from their trusted mortgage advisor, and then start the home shopping process. And, in a normal market, maybe that process takes 30 to 60 days once they've got their pre-approval to find that starter home. And then today, it's just the reality of it is even with the pre-approval, it's taking 6, 12 plus months to find properties. So loan officers are having to carry this pipeline of consumers much longer than they've ever had to before. There's more technology and tools available up the funnel for these prospective home buyers, things like Mint.com, Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, NerdWallet, Rocket Money, which we know is really pointed way up the funnel for early journey financial consumers, not just home buyers, but consumers who are early in their financial life, Rocket has pointed the Rocket Money app way up the funnel to start to bring those consumers into their marketing ecosystem. And then once they're, at a place where that particular consumer is ready to think about home buying, Rocket already has them in their marketing machine. And so what we've focused on at FinLocker is building an experience, a consumer experience. You'll hear us talk a lot about the financial fitness and home ownership experience, or financial fitness and home ownership app, which I'm going to show you in a moment. And we built this to help originators of all sizes compete with the biggest of the big brands with this digital toolkit. But there's always a but. But where we're seeing success is where that same originator that is partnering with FinLocker for the digital financial toolkit also believes that their originators need to lead with financial education and financial fitness. And so there's a little bit of a paradigm shift underway where we're starting to see loan officers become mortgage advisors and build a personal brand with support from their mortgage company, and starting to build that brand out on social. And the way they're doing it is leading with financial education, helping consumers much earlier in their home buying experience get to a place where they understand what it takes to own a home and finance that home, and B, probably more important, they're arming them with tools and education for each part of that kind of mortgage readiness experience. So for the balance of this webinar, I would ask that let's all put the lens of a first-time home buyer, call it a next generation first-time home buyer, but also wear the lens of what we'll call the next generation mortgage advisor. And that is a mortgage advisor who truly embraces and leads with financial education, financial fitness, and has the most modern set of digital tools to reach, engage, and nurture a larger pipeline of consumers who are in that home buying preparation process. So with that, I'm going to test my own technology skills here, and I'm going to share my screen with y'all. And what I'm going to show today is our web experience for FinLocker, and I'm going to show you a couple different environments for a couple different reasons. First and foremost, for those that are not familiar with FinLocker, we are a B2B2C white label digital financial fitness and home ownership app. I'm demonstrating our web experience. Chris, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up if my screen's coming through. Thank you. I'm going to demonstrate from the web, but everything we show you here is also available for consumers in the native mobile app. So when we partner with a lender, we publish a web app, which is what you're seeing here for our client who branded their product Home Journey. So when we publish a web experience. It's fully branded. This one, again, is Home Journey. We work with our client on all the color schema, the font on all the widgets and things like that, and set up the loan officer users as well. We also publish the same experience to the Apple and Google Play Store. So it's a native mobile app. So if you were to search on the Apple App Store for Home Journey, I think it's Home Journey powered by Mortgage Markets QSO, you would see that this particular app would be available for consumers on the App Store. So the power of our product is it's web and mobile, and it goes without saying the power of mobile is now you as the lender and your mortgage advisor now lives on your prospect's phone as an app. So with that, I'm going to kind of navigate through some of the experience here, and I'll stay a little high level because I want Chris to be able to talk a little bit about our back end as well during this conversation. So what we're looking at is the consumer experience, in this case, under Home Journey. In a moment, I'm going to flip over and show you Neo Home Loans is another one of our clients. So you can see the contrast and the branding here in each of these environments, but I'll start with this one. Starting from the top and kind of working our way down. This particular consumer, imagine they've been inside this app for several months, kind of planning for their home buying experience. So at the very top, we have the current 30-year fixed rate. Unbelievable that we're staring down the barrel of an 8% par rate, but here we are. We bring this rate in every day from Optimal Blue, so it's the OBBII or something like that index rate. It's a 30-year index rate that basically is looking at all of the transactions that are happening in Optimal Blue. So it is a national average, and you can see we've got some disclaimer language based on national averages for general guidance only. We've got some disclaimer language. We've worked with our legal compliance folks and also with several of our clients to create this disclosure language. And then from here, the user can do one more click and go a layer deeper and see how their credit score impacts their rate. So this particular user has a 647, so they show up here in the left-hand side bucket. That's their 795. But if you go from left to right there, you can see where the user could see the impact. If they were to improve their score to the next bucket up, they would get into this 773 all the way down to a 763 rate. And this is leveraging the Fannie Freddie loan level pricing adjust grid against that OB Optimal Blue index rate, and of course the consumer's credit score. And then, because we love legal and compliance, we've got another set of disclosures that kind of talks about how the rate and this table kind of play together. So I'll go back to the dashboard real quick and continue navigating down. I'm going to come back to our snapshot in a moment, but the power of this app is really this particular tool that sits on top of a consumer's direct source permission and provided data. So while I'm going to show you some of the data that feeds this and some of the tools behind the data as well. So I'll scroll down a bit in our app, and you'll see this widget called Credit. So the consumer, once they create an account and link to their credit, and linking to their credit is easy as the last 4 digits in their SOCH and their current address, and their credit score would be linked. We update the score every 7 days. And so if you think about the data so far that I'm describing, so the credit score is one data point updating every 7 days. You'll see some other data points. Those data changes all create engagement opportunities. And so in this case, when the credit score changes every 7 days, the app will notify the user. We don't notify them every 7 days when the score changes, unless the score changes by at least, like, I think it's 5 points or something like that. But at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, the user is going to get a notification from Home Journey. It's not from FinLocker, it's from Home Journey, that their score has changed. It'll say something like, congratulations, your score is improved. Click here to see the changes, and it drives them back into the app experience. And that's all under your brand and down to the loan originator. So when the emails are pushed out, the loan officer who's assigned to the consumer is in the footer of each email. But again, it's all coming from the brand, the lender in this case. I'm going to come back to these tools in a moment and scroll down a bit. We've just launched a new view on what we call our financial summary. And so when a user starts to link their financial accounts, that's both assets and liabilities. So think about, on the asset side, checking, savings, investment, 401k, IRA, life insurance policies can all be linked in this app. And on the liability side, it's personal loans, charge cards, gas cards, credit cards, auto loans, student loans, obviously mortgage loans, home equity loans, things of that sort. can all be linked. And once those items start to get linked, we start building the consumer's personal balance sheet or personal net worth statement, if you will. So this is where I'll pivot over real quick to this other environment and show you just a quick view on how we graph out a user's net worth, their DTI, and their cumulative savings. Now, this is a brand new feature. I think it just launched yesterday. So in this particular locker, I didn't link enough accounts early enough, but typically what you're going to see, which I think is super cool for that first time home buyer who's early in their journey, is over time how their DTI is changing and hopefully improving towards a place where they become ready. The user can update their income here. So in this case, if I change the income to, let's just say 75,000 annually, it's gonna recalculate the DTI a little bit for us. We just change it back so it doesn't screw up the demo. And then we're doing the same for savings. So as their savings is growing in the app, they're going to see that growth occur here in this graph. And then they can drill down deeper to go into those accounts. I'm going to do that in a moment from the other environment. Linking accounts is very simple. So from our widget here, a user would just go select their financial institution that they want to link. In this case, it's going to pull up the credential login page for Wells Fargo. Wells has a very specific authentication process. So you would click into there and it would open up the Wells login process. And then the consumer would link to their home journey account inside of Wells Fargo. And then that account would now be linked inside this app. And behind that account, once it's linked, we bring in all of the transactional data. So think of all the daily transactions that happen in a checking account, in a savings account, on a credit card. All those transactions come in, and those transactions start to power tools like spending analysis, budgets and goals, et cetera. I'll just show you a quick view on spending and budgeting. I'm going to do it from this app, though, because I already set it up in there. So here a user can create budgets for spending. Here's a budget that was created for home improvement, repair, and maintenance. They set the monthly amount. They link their account. This has a credit card linked. And then the expenses would come in against that. They could set specific goals. Here's a goal to save for a down payment. The goal amount is 40,000. They've linked a personal account, and they've got 12,000 so far saved in that account. So there's a high, engagement around budgets and goals, and a tool for spending analysis. So this is cool. When you've linked checking and multiple credit cards in the app, you'll see all of the spending in one place. And then on the left, if you want to drill into and just see food and dining, I would click this gray part of the donut, and it would just sort to the right and show me just the food and dining month to date across all those credit cards. The spending analysis, I think, is super critical in the early stages for first-time home buyers. Before you can effectively create a budget, you need to know where you spend money today. And so this app's helping that user organize their finances, see all their spending in one place, which then tees them up for effective budget setting and management of that budget. One more thing I'll show you before I go back to the home ownership snapshot is this widget called My Property. So My Property allows consumers who already own a property, already own their home, to link that home inside the app. And then we bring in a AVM. We also allow them to see the market report for their neighborhood. So if I click into the market report, it's going to show the user for their zip code what's going on in the market. So new listings, sold, properties that have sold, sale price data, active listing, days on market, demographic data, recently listed homes, school reports, a walkability score, which is cool. This is my zip code. It's not very walkable. And they can also explore other markets. So a lot of information for the user around their market, where the property is located. It's also valuable for someone who's looking at buying a home. They can look at different markets. But we also, again, for that user that already owns the home, they can link their property. There's the property address. There's the property itself. FinLocker is bringing in an AVM, an automated value. We bring that value today in from a platform called Quantarium. It is a bank-rated AVM value. And then in this case, our consumer also linked their mortgage account. And when they've linked their mortgage account, now we're giving them a view of their estimated available home equity. And so what I like about this is we're not estimating equity based on a Zillow valuation. This is a pretty solid AVM value, A. And B, we're not doing an amortization of their original mortgage from public records and backing into the balance. We're not pulling the mortgage balance from a credit report that could be 60 or 90 days kind of stale. We're actually pulling the outstanding balance on the mortgage directly from the mortgage that's been linked in this app. So if a payment was made yesterday, this balance would reflect that payment in real time or near real time. So the estimated available equity is another engagement point. The property value updates every 30 days. We do send a notification to the user when their property value changes, which brings them back into the app. And then let's go back to our homeownership snapshot. And so you'll notice on the snapshot is there's 1 star, and then we've got some tiles here that reflect for this user where they're at. So they're not quite to their goal of saving $18,000 for their cash to close. This particular consumer's been employed for at least 2 years, so they exceed that. They got a star for that. But their credit score is reported as is kind of below our target of 640 or our minimum threshold of 640. Note that it's 580 here, even though the score says 647. I manually put this 580 in just to show you what it would look like for someone that's not quite at that threshold. And then I'll pivot it back and you'll see what happens when someone achieves their target score. We calculate the monthly debt to income ratio. And so the total monthly debt to income ratio threshold is 43. This particular user's at 61.8. So they've got a ways to go there. And then finally, well, we're back to our cash to close. So those are the high level views of where this user is. Let's go a layer deeper. Again, We remind you that all of this functionality also exists in the mobile app experience. So here we are with our 1 star, but now note that we have 3 wrenches. We have a wrench for cash to close, credit score, and monthly debt. And so each wrench just means the user has some work to do to address that particular area. And so if we scroll down a bit, we're going to see an action plan that aligns with those wrenches. So for the credit score, we take the user to the credit simulator tool in the app. And this is where the user now can simulate actions that they could take on their credit profile to improve their score. So I'm going to take a pretty dramatic action, decreasing the balances on the outstanding credit cards by $20,000. I'm going to run the simulator. The simulator is now through API pinging the TransUnion database and algorithm, and it's going to bring back a score that would be impacted if this user reduced their balance by 20,000. Their score would go up 40 points. So there's all kinds of different scenarios the user can run in here. They can simulate impact to opening accounts, closing accounts, changing balances on accounts, changing pay history on accounts, letting accounts go into delinquency, et cetera, and see all those impacts. The consumer still has to take those actions, but this is another highly engaging tool, again, especially for that early journey, first-time home buyer who perhaps isn't quite where they need to be with respect to their credit score. So let's go back to our readiness assessment, our homeownership snapshot. And I'm going to go and I'm going to now modify. Well, let me do one thing here. Let me show you this. This button here says share with lender. Anytime that the consumer wants to share kind of where they stand with their loan officer, they would click this button and an email would be fired off to the mortgage advisor who's tied to this account I'll go pivot back here real quick to our Neo environment and show you what it looks like for that loan officer. So here's Ken Watson, my loan officer. Ken has also partnered with a realtor, a real estate professional. So he's co-branded for me as a user with my realtor who looks familiar. It's the guy that's on the call with us, Chris Hazen. So we also have the ability for loan officers to partner with a realtor, and that this is what that looks like. So if I go back to our snapshot and I were to click this share with lender, this would send an email directly to Ken, my mortgage advisor, basically with this data, telling Ken where I'm at right now on this home ownership snapshot. But now what I want to do is show you what happens when a user gets to 4 stars. So the reason this locker's at 5 stars is I did some manual overrides. So I said there's only $5,000 available for down payment and closing costs. But if I click this little button here that says use linked assets, it actually tells me that this locker has linked bank accounts with $60,000. Do I want to use those? Yes, I do. So it just changed the number. I'm going to change the income so that we get a positive there. And then same thing with credit score. I overrode the credit score and typed in 580, but it's asking me if I want to use the 647 that's linked in the locker. Yes, I do. And then last thing I'll do is I just tweak these stats. I want to make sure we get 4 stars. So we're going to go back to our snapshot. We're going to get a little celebratory screen for the user saying, congratulations, you've achieved 4 stars. Give me a second here. There's our 4 star. So wow, you're an all-star. Note here, what we're saying to the user, the app is saying you've met all the readiness criteria recommended for purchasing a home. So notice we didn't say you're pre-approved or you're pre-qualified. We're really staying in that education lane and preparation lane. And so now if I click a layer deeper, here's my 4 stars. And now I'll scroll down to our action plan, and the action plan dynamically changes. Instead of taking me to tools to get ready, it's taking me to a quick article that just reminds me that I shouldn't go out and buy a new car or go finance a bunch of furniture yet. My loan officer is always a button away. So if I click this, I could fire an email to my LO, my mortgage advisor. This takes me into the property search experience where I can start to search properties. So we can go right into our search experience using I'll just use my zip code here. So here's all properties in Novi, Michigan that are available for the user. And then I'll go back and show you one last thing in our snapshot. So in the action plan, we have this call to action called Lender Connect. Lender Connect allows the consumer, the user, to begin to share securely data. I'm going to do this over here, sorry. I'm going to go back to Neo and do this from our Neo. And I'll cheat and just go down to our Lender Connect here. So now Ken, I'm going to be able to share from my locker, from my app with Ken, my mortgage advisor. And I'm going to share for a home loan, targeting, because I changed that amount earlier. I need to retype it in. And this is going to allow the consumer now to select which linked financial accounts. So think of those savings and checking accounts where their funds for closing are held. So I can share these 3 accounts for my down payment and closing costs. Maybe I'm going to share data from my mortgage and my credit card account. If this locker if the consumer already uploaded tax returns or pay stubs, they would be sitting here. I could easily click here and go to my browser and find a tax return if it was saved out there. And then I would basically, as a user, consent that I'm going to share this with my lender, in this case, Neo Home Loans. The file is going to be sent to a lender. We have a little acknowledgement. It may take the lender a few days to open your file. And then if I click submit, which I'm not going to do, an email is generated directly to my mortgage advisor. Remember, that's Ken here. So Ken would get an email from his Neo Experience app saying that Brian just shared from his locker. And then Ken would have a link to click in that email, which would take him to the back end of FinLocker, where he would then see the share event that was created, and then could click that share event, download the data. So we create a Fannie 3.4 MISMO compliant data set, as well as any PDFs that were shared as part of that. And he could drag and drop that into his point of sale and then kick off the mortgage application process from his point of sale. I covered a lot. And Chris, I didn't know, is there any questions in the chat?
I don't see any questions so far from the chat or
Okay.
the Q&A section.
Okay, cool. So that gives you kind of an idea of what's in it for the consumer from a, experience perspective, a preparation perspective. Before I hand it to Chris, what I want to share is what we're seeing our lender clients and their mortgage advisors do to create awareness and build a pipeline of next year's home buyers today. So many of our clients now are using their branded version of this app and creating social content in support of financial education, financial preparation, home ownership preparation. And so every time they're creating a social post highlighting, maybe it's a tip of the week from a financial education perspective, or they're talking about how they helped a consumer with a certain scenario get to a place of readiness, the call to action in those social posts is download our free Neo Experience or Home Journey app. And then that's a way to capture engagement off of those social posts. So we're actually seeing a pretty successful lead generation strategy that combines financial literacy, financial education, financial fitness from a loan officer, from a social media perspective, with the call to action to download this app. So it's, if you think about most social posts that I see, there's rarely a call to action. And if there is, it's sadly apply now. Well, most people that are following a mortgage advisor on social, they're doing it to learn and they're not ready to apply. And so this app is giving lenders and mortgage advisors a real meaningful, rich action to take that is not apply now. It's use our free financial fitness app to track and monitor and improve your credit score and create financial budgets and set goals and track your savings goals for your down payment, see where you stand with respect to being mortgage ready, things like that. So again, thinking about how the next generation mortgage advisor is working today to build tomorrow's pipeline. They're using tools like FinLocker to engage consumers much earlier in that home buying experience. I see a question from Patty. The question is, can the app be set up with other languages such as Spanish? Today, not yet, Patty. Today, it's only in English. One of our roadmap items is to have some layer of communication in other languages. Obviously, we'd probably start with Spanish, but we haven't prioritized Spanish language yet. We would probably do that in a kind of a sequenced way. It would be much easier for us to create the email communications that go out when a consumer is not in the app and have those be in Spanish, and then reference a particular part of the app. One of the reasons we haven't prioritized it is the two areas of our app that really drive a lot of engagement is the credit widget, and all the credit data comes today from TransUnion. And right now it only comes over in English. So we'd have to kind of build some instruction on the app in Spanish, but the actual content underneath this credit widget would still be in English. And the same goes for the financial data that comes through an integration we have with a platform called Fiserv. But we do have it on our roadmap. As we expand out our product features sometime in the next 12 to 18 months, I think the Spanish version or some, portion of the app that has Spanish language will be available. We did engineer the architecture of our app is engineered to support multiple languages. We just haven't taken that next step as of yet. I want to show you one more thing before I hand it off to Chris. Inside the credit widget, and I show this because just recently one of our clients did a social post talking about the impact to credit score and what are the factors that impact credit score. And so we break down in the app all those factors that impact score: payment history, utilization, age of credit, total number of accounts, hard inquiries, and alerts. And just to give you a flavor for one of the pieces of the app that this particular mortgage advisor highlighted was the credit card usage. Most users don't understand that usage does impact score. So if I click in, we show the user all, their overall usage, and you get this nice so paying down outstanding balances will help improve your score. And then by account, the user can see their the usage rate on each of their accounts. And so that was a call to action off that social post. The post started talking about the importance of these components. Everybody understands pay history and how it impacts their score. It's the most impactful. But the second most impactful is utilization. And that particular mortgage advisor's post got a ton of engagement and actually resulted in several dozen downloads from that particular post. So it's an example of how you could pick one of the tools in the app, create some social education content around it with a call to action to download the app to engage from there. All right, Chris, let's hand it off to you, and you can take us through a little bit of the back end, what we call the admin portal.
All right. Ask the same thing. Can you just give me a nod when you see the screen?
Got it.
All right. All right, so I'm actually going to start with where Brian left off when he was running the snapshot and he got the 4 stars in the Lender Connect. So what this view is, this is on a dashboard where you can see everybody that has explicitly shared like what's in their bank account, where we generate a VOA report in the Mizmo file to help pre-fill the application. So this is an example of someone that has said they wanted that $339,000 loan amount, all of the assets that they've shared, the liabilities, any documents that you've done, and again, the files that we generate. Out of the box, a consumer or a loan officer can come in here and just download the file. They can review it, and if they like everything, they can download the file, and it generates that zip package for them. That's kind of that further end table of the process where someone has been using the app and getting ready. As we go more up funnel, just in terms of like milestone level activities. So this is a view of just basic activity of people coming to the locker, registering for locker, and who they're assigned to. Our backend portal is permission based, meaning that if I'm set up as a traditional just loan officer user, I'm only going to see the people that are assigned to me and only be able to view that data, versus someone that's set up as an admin can come in and take a good look and see keep tabs on everything that's going on within the entire environment. So on this screen, what you'll see is you get the email, the first name, the last name, the mobile number, which has been validated because we have to go through a multi-factor authentication during registration, the status date, which is the registration date, when they were last active, and then who they're assigned to. And if they were, Brian briefly showed about co-branding with an agent. This is also where you can see if they're also tied to somebody else with another agent that's out there. Taking one step further in terms of milestone level activity, you can drill. So what happens is upon registration, a consumer gets a message saying, do you want to share additional information so we can better help you along your journey? What we find is about 90% of our consumer base does consent to share that data. And it's not how much is in your bank account. It's more of milestone level data and public record data as well. So what I'm showing here is an example. This is a test user, but it shows when they registered. So you'd see that on everybody, their last activity date, their journey tag. So what did they self-select they were there for? When they register, they're also said, what are you here to do? Are you getting ready, are you ready? Are you overcoming challenges or not looking? That's that journey tag that's posted there. So loan officers can review to see people where they're at in their journey. They also know if it's gotten updated at any point in time. So maybe they went from getting ready to ready, recently. It's a good call to action to reach out. You're going to see some other information, their current credit score and previous credit score within a 10-point band. This one went down for the current credit score of the previous. So we see this down arrow here. All this can be filtered up here so you can start honing in on folks. And then their last 3 snapshot runs. So where Brian had showed the 4 stars, that's basically what this comes down to. It's a pass or fail in those categories. Brian did show that share with lender where we actually populate the amounts within there if they explicitly sent that, but we do show the pass or fail on there. In addition to this, so a loan officer or administrator could come in and look through this, filter through this at any point in time, see what latest activity. But what we'll also do is we send the loan officer some targeted call to action. So if someone does say they're ready, we send an alert to the loan officer right away. If someone has moved or hit their target credit score, we'll send an alert. Someone's moved credit score ranges, we send an alert. Someone ran readiness and got 4 stars, we'll send an alert. So we're trying to make sure that the loan officer knows that the activity that's going on in their apps, and then also being really front of mind when there's stuff that could be a very good call to action to touch base with that consumer, because it still needs that human touch when they are self-assessing, using this tool to get themselves in a better situation. We still strongly believe, and strongly in the camp of that loan officer is that next piece to get them to where they need to be. Also, there's also a bunch of other things out there that the app speaks to and educates to, like down payment assistance, lower down payment options for loans, so on and so on, closing costs, seller cover closing costs, all those things. There's educating in the app, but there's a point in time where they need to have that conversation with the loan officer, and that's what this whole area is trying to help facilitate. Lastly, on this whole piece is we do have a webhook API where we can push a lot of this milestone level data points to you. So even though the app is communicating on to the consumer on relevant updates and stuff, that's an area where you can layer on and see a lot more intelligence pulled right into your CRM on what's going on with this consumer activity. Let me just check the chat real quick.
I sent a message.
Answer those. I won't go. You'll see a lot of these other tabs on here. I'm not going to go through all of that here, but really, what the rest of those tabs are setting up users. Like here, you can set up agents. So it's full control, but this is all permission based. But as far as the activity, what's going on, I really wanted to just highlight that piece of it. I'll pause for any other questions.
Tony, any questions came your way? Are we all good to
I know
go?
I didn't see any other than the one from Patty and then myself, because I was wondering about the ease of use, and I was figuring that was probably easy to use. So I mean, I think everybody needs this, right? Whether you're looking for a house or you own a house or whatever. I mean, how wonderful is it to have everything that you have in one locker, and how easy it would be for you to do anything financial, to make any sort of financial decisions, if all of your information is in one place and you are able to track it there. So fantastic. Excellent. Thank you so much for the information. I'm a firm believer, so I think, just sign me up and let me know, and I'll make sure that all my friends sign up as well. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who came to the TMC Connect today. And as a follow-up, there will be an email that comes out tomorrow with a link to the YouTube video. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for being on the front lines of helping people to get into homes, and making it educational for them to know what to do. So very much appreciate all that you do today.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you everyone for the time.
Have a great day.